All right, we're now on the second segment of our fitted skirt. We've already done the front. Now we're going to do the back. I did want to mention in your book on page 36, it does show you how to pin the darts after you have them done. So after you true up your drape, you need to pin your darts so that when you put it back on, it will fall and over the dress form and fit it properly. So on page 36, it has a good picture of how those pins are. They are perpendicular. All right, and I'll show you that. When I'm finished here, I'll pin everything and put it back on so you can see how to do it. Okay, and then they also show you how to true up the drape and mark it. All right. Okay, one thing that I didn't do on this drape here is I didn't draw my line here. I just did the dots, but I'm going to go ahead and put that line there so this will help you to make sure that you get the right amount for the dart legs and stuff. All right? Okay, and then they do talk about checking the drape. We're going to do that, but we're going to do it after we do the back so that we can put them together. And I'll show you how to put them together on the dress form. And when I grade them, I'll grade them together. All right? Okay, so here is my back piece. I've already got my guidelines on here. I've got my 1-inch seam allowance for center back, and I'm going to start on the center back and move towards the side seam. Here's my hip measurement, which is hip plus 1/2 inch for ease, same as the front. And then if I would have come straight up, moved over 3/4, I have my guideline for the waist. Okay, so we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and put that on the dress form. Okay. So we're going to start by putting the coordinates for the center back and the hip. Okay. This particular dress form has a little bit more curviness than some of them, so it's got a little bit more shape here on the back. So I end up just pinning it just pin it to your twill tape. All right, you don't need to worry about going right into the dress form at the hip level. Okay, and then we're just going to smooth it up and go ahead and pin at the waist. Okay, now I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to line it up at the hip, and then I'm going to have you guys look at it and tell me if you think that is balanced. Okay. Does that look straight? Let me move that up just a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Straight, and it's hanging straight. How does that look over here? All right, so that's the first thing you do with the balancing. Okay, but I need to work in my ease. So now I'm going to push it back in so that it lines up. Okay, and I can also if I want to just line it up all the way down, I'll have it. So I might just do that so I can see it's hanging straight. Okay, and then I come up here now and I've got my guideline for the waist. Now when I did the front, I needed about 1/4 inch extra, so I'm actually going to start with that. Rather than go right to my guideline, I'm going to give it a little extra so that it matches up with the front. Because chances are, if I needed it in the front, I will probably need it in the back. And also, I want to make sure I get this nice and smooth up here. Okay, I don't want extra length there. Whoa. Okay, these pins are hard to put in right at the waist on the dress form. So I'll just there. I'll back it up just a little bit so I can get my pin in, but it's at this place I want it to be. Okay, so here's what I have to work with, all right? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch this, and I'm going to see how much extra I have. Okay. I'm going to measure that, and I've got 1.5 inches, so I've got 3 inches extra. Now that's interesting. all right, because I've got my hip. I went in, okay, I'm doing this the wrong way. That's why. Okay, that was a test. Wait, did I get that? No, I did it right, because I went beyond the 3. Yeah. Okay, actually, I needed to go this way. Okay, that's better. Okay, so now I moved this the other direction. So I needed to have extra at the waist, not less. Okay, so I moved that over. Okay, now the only thing is I'm starting with this moved over. So now let me measure this again and we'll see what we have. Okay. And I have 1 1/4 inch double, so that's 2.5 inches. But I need to take out, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna move it out just a little bit more because it's not quite moved out enough like the front. Okay, there we go. Okay, all right. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pinch out my 1/8 of an inch double, which I'm taking out 1/4 of an inch for ease, and I'm gonna do it towards the back here. Okay, I'm just gonna put it right here, because then it will kind of be out of the way where I wanna do the darts. I can also move this ease kind of back here, just so it's a little bit out of the way too, so it's easier for me to see what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm gonna measure it again, just to get an idea of what I'm looking at. And now I've got 1 inch double, so I've got about 2 inches, which is about close to what we had on the other one. Okay, now where do I want to put my first dart? Where should I put my first dart? What's kind of our rule? Same rules as the front. Right, thirds. We want to do it in thirds, and we're going to start with the princess seam, and then we're going to go, instead of going halfway between the other two, we'll move it just a little bit closer to the princess seam. All right? Let me just measure this. This princess seam is a little bit further out, it looks to me like. So this one is like 3 1/8 from there. And then this is like less than 4. So this princess seems kind of over quite a ways. But let's go ahead and go with it, and then the next one we'll just have to put closer. The other thing that we could do, because this princess seam is quite a ways over, sometimes what you could do is put them before the princess seam and then after. Because if I truly did thirds, this right here is measuring at 7 1/4. So that's like 2 1/4 or so, right? 2, 4, 6, 2 3/8, something like that. Maybe 2 1/2, is that right? 2, 5, yeah, about 2 1/2. So really, if I did 2 1/2, I'd be over here. And then another 2 1/2, I'd be here, but I'd move that over. So this is a little bit further out, but I do want it to match up, so we're gonna go with that. All right, we're gonna go with the princess seam. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of divide this into twos, into half, and then if I've got 2 inches, that means these darts should be about 1/2 inch wide, right? So there's 1/2 inch. Okay. And then let me grab the other one. Right here. Okay. All right. So there's my darts. Okay, now let's do a little bit of slashing here so we can kind of get it to lay where we want it to. And then we'll kind of look and see how we're doing here. I'm going to pin this, just kind of get it out of the way a little bit. Okay, so now I've got my location where I'm going to put the darts. And now I have to look, what do we know about the vanishing point here? Actually, I'm gonna, that looks good, okay. So what do we know about vanishing, or length of darts in the back? How long should the dart be closest to center back? You guys remember?
About like 4 inches long.
4 inches?
The dart.
The dart? Look on your sloper. Lexi, let's look on your sloper. The skirt back. All right, so on your skirt back, here's center back, and the first dart is quite long, isn't it? So this one's shorter. Why would this one be long and this one be short? Right, we have more of a bulge right here. They're called love handles. Okay, right here close to the center back is usually pretty flat. So on this one, we're just going to do a straight dart, angled dart. On this one, we're going to curve it a little bit, but notice how this one's shorter. Okay? In your book, they actually make these darts in the back, they make them the same length. Okay? And they make them just a little bit shorter. But let's go ahead and see how we do with the two different. As far as most bodies, this is usually what you need. All right? So let's look at that. And the first one, we want to look at where, can you kind of see where this dart starts to vanish? This is over here where the ease is. Where does that dart start to vanish? Can you see this one here? Can you see where it stops being a fold and just kind of goes out flat? So maybe somewhere right in here. Okay, the only thing is that's still a little bit too far away from the dress form. How long can I make this dart before I've exceeded the limit and made it way too long? What's a good rule for this dart right here, for the length? How far up from our hip can we go? 2 inches. So we don't want to go any closer than 2 inches. Okay, so if I look at this right here, I'm just a tiny bit above that, but that to me looks like where it starts to flatten out. Okay, this one, usually, this one is actually looking a little bit longer as well, rather than shorter. Because if we go with this, and then we go with this one looks like it wants to be long. Can you guys see that? If I were to end this up at like our 3.5, I think that's what your back dart is. It's just too far from the dress form. But if I go down to here, it looks like it's about right about there. Okay, so we're going to go with the dress form. Okay, because when you're fitting somebody, you don't want to say, oh, sorry, I can only make a 3-inch dart here, and too bad if your body doesn't fit that, right? Because that's what we're fitting. What if they, now this is kind of, if you look right here, she doesn't have much love handles. She's kind of curvy and flat here, but it's a little bit curved here, but it's not doing too much. But so it's curving in, but then it wants to be longer because of a little larger, more curved angles on the back side of this dress form. So I think we're going to make this one a little bit longer and kind of look and see where this ends. Okay, so I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter, about right there. So if I pinch this in, when I get to here, that's really close to the dress form. That's like 1/8 away, which is good. When I pinch this one here, I get to about 1/8. So that tells me that's a good place to end those darts. Does it look like my dart is going straight? If I pinch it like this on both sides, does it look like it's going up straight? Or is it kind of veering off? This one might be veering off a bit. I think I need to bring that over here. Okay, there, that looks better. All right, so look at that. How does that look? Do the dart legs look straight? good. All right, and then I've got my E's. Now, I moved this over so I have a little extra here, and I think that looks good. I've got a bubble here, and part of that is just my E's. Okay, although I've taken the E's out on the other side. So that looks, I might, straighten that out just a little bit. Oh, that pin was stuck. Okay, I want to kind of move this up a little bit. But if I do that, then there. Okay, I think part of it is just the E's. If I go, okay, I think I've got it. So I needed to add. Okay, that looks good. I think we're good. We just want this part to be smooth as it goes up. But your E's kind of gets in the way. You just have to kind of move that over there. Good. If I need to make sure that I don't get my darts too big, that it's jumping off in the dress form. Okay, so I want to keep that just right. So you have to, this E's just, it'll bug you. So just kind of play with it, move it out of the way. Okay, I think we're good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Okay. So I mark the waist. And just kind of put where your waist is. And then when I get to that, go over. Okay. Remember the little L's that we make? Okay. Just keep it right there. There. Okay, now the other thing I need to mark is the hip. Okay. So hip line, and remember I mark it on the other side of the ridge. Okay, and I've got it. So now I can take it off. I do want to mark the length here. So I need to put a little dot right there. Okay. Okay. And we can take out our E's. Okay, so here is, well, okay, so there's, interesting, it kind of takes a little dip down here, which makes me wonder if I got that up correct. So I might fix that a little bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the darts, and I'm going to find the middle of that dart. And the middle of this dart. That dart ended up being, wait, that's not right. Like 1.25 inches, so that's about 5/8 there. Okay, and then I'm gonna measure from here over, and that's like 4 1/8. And then over here, see, that's gotta come over. And then I'm gonna measure this one, and that's 6 1/2. And that needs to come over as well. So I didn't get those coming down as straight as I did the other ones. Let me go ahead, I'm gonna do the guideline in the middle. Okay, and then I need to measure measure and make sure that I've got, the legs are the same. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and draw the legs. Now this one we can just angle. The other one we're gonna curve. Okay. Okay, so there's our curved dart and our angles. All right, now let's check and make sure the dart legs are the same. So that is 6 and an 8, and that's good, 6 and 8. And this one is 5 1/4, and that one needs to come up just a teeny bit. Up to here. There. All right, now let's draw this line. This looks a little funny right through here. So I'm gonna bring that up just a little bit, and we're gonna have to see where that ends up being. Okay? And then here is our line here, which we'll draw that in. That is so straight. Okay, so I kind of, there. Okay, I'm going to do a 1/2 inch here. I'm just going to eyeball it, but you guys can go ahead and mark it. Okay, then I'm going to pinch out my darts, and I go from center front over, and I'm just going to pin those, and then I can cut my seam allowance and it'll give me the extra that I need. Okay, so see, so just pin them like this. All right, you can, I'll pin this in a couple places and that'll help it to stay over where it needs to stay. Okay, there we go. And I need 1/2 inch here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the skirts together, and then I'm going to put it back on the dress form. All right? Okay, so when we pin this, I'll do it up here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, here's our side seams. Okay. And what you're going to do is fold one over on the other. Okay, let's start here with the hip line. So you want to fold those over together, and then whenever you pin the pieces together, put your pin perpendicular to the seam. Okay? There. The reason why, by doing it this way, it will hang better. Okay, because it only has one spot where it kind of stiffens it. Okay? If you do your pins down like this, then it's not gonna hang very well, okay? It's gonna make it too rigid. But by doing it like this, it just keeps it together at one point, okay? So, now look, these aren't matching up here. So we're gonna have to see, well, actually, you know what? That's interesting. Because I drew it up because I thought it looked funny. But if I kept it back where it was supposed to be, look, that's where it matches up. So, trust your marks. Okay, I'm gonna pull it down now so that I can pin these together. Okay, and I'm just gonna line up my lines. Put my pin across. See, these are curved now, so it gets a little trickier. See, now that lines up. The blue, the original line lined up. Okay, now I'm going to pin my darts. All right, and when I pin the darts, I'm going to pin those. They show you in your book how to pin the darts, and it's a good idea to do it perpendicular again. Okay. All right, I'll just. Okay, I can do the rest of that. Let me grab two more and then we'll put it on. I'll finish, I can do, okay, so we did that. So we need to pull them this way. Okay, so the darts go, which direction do I pin them? The fold of the dart goes where? To center front or center back, good. Okay, so here it is. See how we pinned it? Pins are perpendicular to the seam, and I've got this part. I need to put a pin at the bottom, and probably one more in the middle. But let's put it on and see how we did. Okay, so when you put it on the dress forms, it should fit smoothly, and you shouldn't have to put a ton of pins in. You only need a few pins, and I think I have a few more here. Oh, great. So I'll put this here. Okay, and then I can just leave this and go ahead and put this seam here, and it actually lines up where I had my original dots here, so ignore the pink on this side and go with the blue, which was the original. Okay, and then this lines up here, and it's, when you put it on, it's going to seem like, oh, it's too big for the dress form. But that's because we've added some ease. Okay, so we can put, I think I'm running out of pins here. They're probably all over the floor. All right. See, so it does kind of, in fact, yeah, so you don't even need to do the sides. And you just want to make sure this is up at the waist. That's the one thing you may have to pin it a little bit at the waist. Okay, but can you see how that fits? How does that look? We didn't get this turned under. Here, let me turn it under so you can see better. All right. Do we have another pin? Do you have any pins? Okay, so let's just pin it here so you can kind of see. All right. How does that look? Do you think Susie would like to wear that skirt?
Definitely.
Good. Okay. So I think is the side seam hanging straight? You can see the extra. When I pinch this, I should be able to pinch out 1/2 inch. When I pinch this, I can get 1/2 inch. I've got my waist ease, so it should just kind of skim. There. I didn't finish pinning the darts, but you guys can do that. Okay, We are done with the fitted skirt. Whew. Okay.